Film Festival. You were doing what Richard did. You were with Pilgrim Hill. Was it a kind of a conversation even at that point? I've got an idea for a script. I'd like to be part of it, or was it a long gestation?
Yeah, I mean, what happened was I was at Telluride, Jack was at Toronto. We both signed with the same agency on that same week, and we came back to Dublin, and we got together, and I told him, I have this project ready to go, and he was like, read it, and he was like, yeah, he was on board, and we were kind of just doing a little bit of work on it, and then he rang me a couple of weeks later saying, listen, any chance we can make that in a year's time? I'm after getting Transformers, and I was like, good man, fair play, thank you. But it was the best thing that ever happened, to be honest with you.
And with that year now, would you found yourself, as often artists will, they're given more time, they'll go back and chip away at it, or were you?
Yeah, you go away and you chip away at it, and you do a few more bits and pieces, and it gave me the opportunity to build for after Glassland as well, so pick up a few bits and pieces, but very much to focus on that, and I think
it was an important time for me as well, because I was coming back off a big franchise movie, and I just wanted to reconnect with home a bit and step away from Hollywood and all of the intensity out there. And John is a character that I really, really relate to, and I'm very comfortable in his skin. So, it was great to come home to Ireland and to be back with, my family and the people I grew up with. And, I hadn't been home in quite a while. It was a very cathartic experience for me, and it allowed me to just get back in touch with an awful lot of things. And I think that maybe that's something that you can even see in the performance, kind of.
And I think that year it kind of, I matured a little bit more, and Jack definitely matured a little bit more, and we came back, and I think you can see in his performance he really wanted to be in Ireland at that time, and I think you can feel it with his performance.
Well, of course, the great thing about making Transformers is that working with Michael Bay prepared you for Gerard, because you've got that same temperament. You are mad. That area of just that full-on angry, demanding.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was a good sort of
smashing megaphones.
Oh yeah.
I would think too that I know that you'd gone to college and you sort of witnessed this idea that there's these teenagers who've got parents who rely on them almost entirely like a child, and how that sort of drains the life from somebody's youth.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure for you then, Jack, sort of tapping into John. I don't know. I don't think Humphreystown and County Wicklow was too kind of dark a place. Hopefully, I don't know. But that idea.
You'd be surprised.
Small town Ireland certainly has a lot going on and behind the fence. But that idea of getting to that place where this guy is having a very difficult life, and there's not much joy in there, there's not much love, there's not real kind of expressed love. Is that a hard thing to get to, or was it easy to tap into?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I certainly could really relate to the dynamics of this guy's life, and I have experienced an awful lot of them myself, actually. John for me is probably actually I'm more familiar with him as a character than any other character I've ever played in anything before. So for me, it was almost like I was in my ultimate comfort zone. And in order to, everybody asked me what the preparation was like and how did I get there, emotionally and psychologically. And the truth of it is, I knew the world enough that I didn't really have to worry about that going into it. I didn't try and prepare anything. I tried to be as open as I could and to walk into it and let it all occur kind of organically. And the most important part about it for me was that I would have the support system on the way out of it, that I would be able to detach from all the intensity of the emotion and the psychological aspect.
Well, it is a bit, again, like Pilgrim Hill, it's a lot more Dardenne Brothers than it is Diddley Eye kind of potatoes. There isn't that sort of Irish
Well, we wanted to
mythology.
try and make a film that was the antithesis of that.
Right, so that universality of it is particularly kind of striking, that, this could be the middle of Belgium, it could be the middle of, Toronto.
I think that's the most exciting thing, whether we were in Sundance or in Los Angeles or in London with it, is like, people say if it was London accents, it could be somewhere in London. British accents, it could be anywhere in Britain. If it was American accents, it could be anywhere in Detroit. That's the great thing about it, and that's what I really wanted to do with the film as well, was to kind of take Dublin out of it. I think watching it, there's not a lot of Dublin in the film, You don't see any Dublin buses or any signs or anything like that. It's very much just a house in this community. It's this house in Ireland that is going through a really, 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 really tough time. And as you said there about small town Ireland, it can be dark. Like, families are dark, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on in families that's dark, and it's a lot of crisis. And it's, as my father always says, family is constant war without breaks of peace. That's exactly what it is. And for me, to get the opportunity with this to make the film that I wanted to make and to shine a light on something that I wanted to do was important. And we took that, and we took the amount of money that we just needed to make this because we want to control in terms of creativity, and thankfully we got it in a sense.
We certainly did.
I was thinking too with a film like this, because there is such, and rightly so, because of the tale that's been told, the kind of darkness, the grimness. I don't know whether on set there was a need to let that out, whether there was a sense of going down this rabbit hole and staying down there until the film was over. Just as an actor, especially, whether you feel, well, this is where we are every day, we should stay in this moment, or do you need to sort of let it out?
No, I like to let it out. I think trying to stay in that intensity just winds you up to the point where you can't really be clear in it anymore. So, you know, when the camera wasn't rolling, me and Tony would sit there with each other's iPods and, you know, play songs for each other, or me and Will would be just messing around together, pulling pranks on people or whatever, you know, and like, you've got to do that. I think that on films that are very emotionally and psychologically intense like this, you've got to have an outlet and a valve to just get rid of that pressure, you know, during the day at least.
And would you have a kind of a, you know, commercial consideration that, you know, this is a film that's not obviously going to, you know, play to everybody? It's not like there's no great big hook of like comedy or, you know, the usual sort of broad appeal stuff, that you're dealing with something that wins prizes, something that people admire deeply, and it's got a, you know, there's a lot of quality in there. But there is a need in this show business for business to happen too. Is that something that you as a filmmaker have to think about at all? Or?
Yeah, you take it into consideration, but there's a place for everything. I mean, you wouldn't think Pilgrim Hill would be one of the most successful Irish films at the box office in the last number of years, and it was. People are looking for stories like this, and people want to see a little bit of themselves on the screen. And I think, you know, there's plenty of the other type of films that are being made, and they're fantastic, and I go and see them myself. But I like to give people, you know, a little bit of a different of an option. And I think, you know, we're getting a really big release in Ireland. We're getting a really big release in the UK. You know, all over Britain in a sense. You know, Scandinavia, Benelux, Germany, France, Australia, Hong Kong. We're doing okay, you know. And I think having these really great actors on board really helps, and I just think it's a universal story. Crisis, family in crisis, we all have one, even if we don't want to admit it. We all have one.
No.
Yeah.
There's 13 in my family. We all get on beautifully.
Yeah.
It's like the Waltons.
Yeah.
Just drunk all the
That's
time.
funny.
I should say now that you've got Charlize Theron movie coming up. This based on the real life memoir, I think, Brain on Fire.
That's it.
Jack, of course, you've got about 10 different things going on. The Secret Scripture with Jim Sheridan, John Carney, Sing Street. You've got the World War II drama, A Royal Night Out, Macbeth with Fassbender, and you're filming Andy Serkis's, Jungle Book Origins. That idea of the Hollywood experience, you're going to kind of have it, I guess, now with Charlize, and just that moving into that sort of wider arena of names and stars. I don't know whether you felt you'd sort of learned a lot from being in Hollywood, or whether it's always the same. It just happened to be a bigger trailer. I don't know if there's a
Hollywood's a sign on the side of a mountain in Los Angeles. That's all it is. I mean, Los Angeles is no different than the financial district in Dublin. It's a business town. That's what it is, and it can do incredible things. And we found with Glassland when that part of town works, it works really well for films like this. Then you can make an Irish film with Tony Collette, Will Poulter, Jack Reynor, Michael Smiley, and they'll do their utmost to make it happen. And for me, doing Brain on Fire, it's a huge budget in a sense. It's a different scale in a sense, but I think today it's the same thing. It's the same frame. I'm using the exact same camera I used on Glassland and Pilgrim Hill. It's the same thing. It's just a different story in a different part of the world. And at the end of the day, you just want to try and connect with an audience and move them. And you know, money is only energy. It gets people off their ass.
And for you, young Jack, you're like me. You're very talented and incredibly handsome. So whether you're finding that sort of side is very thrilling, or whether you just sort of have to tread carefully as always in any...
I think you've got to be prudent about any choices that you make in this industry, you know. It's not, it's certainly not an easy one to navigate your way through, and it's hard to be uncompromising enough that you're happy with your films and you're proud of your work, you know. For me, it's a case that I go out to Hollywood when I have to, you know, take my meetings and do the business that needs to be done out there, and then I come back and I detach from it as much as I possibly can. Because the only way that I can portray real characters and real people in films is if I can maintain a level of reality in my own life, and I don't think Hollywood's particularly conducive.
And I think people
that.
forget. I mean, we spend every day in not reality. We're constantly creating stories, and I think you need to come out of that. You know, you need to step out of it. But I think one thing that we're very lucky is our agent James Farrell is a huge. I'm saying it for myself. He's a huge part of what I do in my career and thus far and where I am, and and he's very much someone that keeps me grounded, and I'm sure he does the same to you.
In
He's
a way,
a really good
in
Irishman.
a way,
He's really
in a
good
way,
Irish-
I guess it's like addiction itself. It's like
Yeah.
we have an addiction to
telling
what
lies.
what we do, and you
telling
kind
lies
of
all
have
the
to
time.
just create like an environment around yourself where you can be functional with it.
Yeah, no, you do, and it's very
Which is
privileged.
dark.
Very privileged.
Yeah,
yeah.
Lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, you too, man.
Getting a friendly finger.
Thank you,
on
sir.
it.
Alright.
Thank you.